Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, and once again, I am back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom for the PlayStation 2, Nintendo GameCube, and Xbox. Sorry for a little bit of a tangent right there, but I must admit though right away. But either way though, I just want to get this out of the way though. So, yeah, last time we have managed to able to, well, fully complete it in terms of SpongeBob's dream, despite there are some backtracking issues here and there, specifically that we have to able to actually find ourselves, you know, all of these Patrick socks, as you know, and also we managed to get ourselves, well, to be more specifically for this kinds of stuff, we did manage to found the final few sets of those Patrick socks, by the way, and able to actually gather ourselves the final golden spatula from Patrick, and as a result, we are basically done with the forms of Patrick socks, by the way. And also, same applies to the forms of that, you know, with that particular, you know, keep on grinding for more shiny objects, as I shown you from the last video. I'm actually going to be doing this again for the sake of this video, because there was actually this one last reward if you managed to able to actually go up for about 40,000 of those shiny objects in order to able to spend on something. I know there's another way you can able to do this, but ultimately speaking, I think this particular method is always, in my opinion, the easiest part about this. And I think I also did that on the remake version as well. So even then, at least I was expecting that I was able to actually do this on both the PlayStation 4 version as well as the Nintendo Switch version on the go, so that way I can able to do pretty much exactly the same thing between the two. So as a result, yeah, you probably get the idea. And after we're done with all that stuff though, we actually did manage to give ourselves the final few golden spatulas from Mr. Krabs by able to delivering the final few sets of those shiny objects. And as a result, we are basically done with those shiny objects. Well, at least for now, but apart from the fact that we have to do this, as you can see, for the final time, as you can see right there. So speaking of this particular point worth noting for is the fact that today for this video is going to be the grand finale of this game's Let's Play of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, specifically in the original version of the game, to be more specifically on the PlayStation 2 version, even though some people tend to do sometimes the Xbox version and sometimes the GameCube version, but this is the only version I still managed to get, because compared to the Xbox version and the GameCube versions, oh man, these versions are way more harder to find, mainly with the GameCube version most likely, because it's super pricey still, after resulting of able to actually research on that on Amazon or eBay or anything else for that besides. But thankfully I still managed to able to go myself, you know, we still managed to get ourselves the PlayStation 2 version, as you can see on screen, and also the remakes on the forms of well, both on the Nintendo Switch for play on the go, and the PlayStation 4 version, so that I can able to replay the game again, and hopefully I'm also able to actually still play some online cooperative stuff, including trying to deal with the forms of, well, some other stuff worth noting for, despite the fact that I'm still in the middle of the progressioning in terms of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, but that again though is the fact that it's so much stuff to play, especially noticeable how the fact that some stuff just needs to be happening. So anyway, without further ado, as you can see that we're still about to be going back into Goo Lagoon, as you can see, on the exact same spot as last time. So because of that though, I'm showing this to you guys, if those of you really want to 100% this game, well, best be sure to able to actually stop over at specifically almost near to the actual Goo Lagoon caves. Then once you make your way from there, and then hopefully you would able to actually come across into this bridge, and then you should able to actually use the bubble missile ability, so that way you could able to actually farm, you know, just trying to get some even more shiny objects, as you can see on screen, so that way you don't have to worry about trying to able to actually just to walk on foot, wandering around like nothing else, and as a result you would be able to expect for this matter though. So as long as you would able to keep an eyes open with that particular notification saying the actual combo system, which I've already established that before already ever since the last video, but still you need to keep an eyes open with the forms of that particular combos listing, specifically where it says Super Ultra Mega Monster Combo, then you should able to actually get yourselves a whole abundance of those you know, the shiny objects, as you can see, with a much more better value than the forms of how it does it from normally. So yeah, as a result, what I'm trying to do here is the fact that I'm also able to actually reach for about almost 40,000 of those shiny objects, because whenever we get onto the final point of this game, specifically in the jump buckets, that with the one we have to take on the forms of the evil robots of themselves during the jump bucket. That way we can able to actually just expect of how the fact that we might still able to get some shiny objects from there. Well, we'll point it out until at some point whenever we're done with this particular grinding stuff. I know some people seem to able to do this off screen, which I was originally trying to able to do this off screen, by the way, but it turns out I didn't exactly just notice this because, well, originally it was supposed to be a little bit more tedious than more than everything, but it turns out this particular process, as you can see right there, makes everything else a little bit more, how do I say, faster. I definitely know there's also another way, as I said before since the last video, that there's also another way you can able to actually just to get more shiny objects during the forms of in the actual Bikini Bottom pier, but you know you have to deal with the forms of that particular bubble ball by able to actually get the amount of those holes in. But I felt this a little bit of a time waster, and plus it might be incredibly optional if you really want to go for that specific stuff. But for me, I attempt to ignore that because I'm actually going to be stuck around with this particular method, because again, this method is super useful here, especially noticeable how the fact that if you really want to get, as I mentioned this before, if you really want to get those remaining golden spatulas, and especially noticeable for everything else on this for the most part, then you should be, you know, feel right to home about, because especially noticeable how the fact that every time you die, then obviously, in addition to able to let you, the checkpoint, you're able to respawn, just right behind the actual bridge, and also same applies to those tikis, that are able to actually respawn every time whenever you're able to actually just, well, keep on, you know, do some more grinding in terms of, you know, getting some more shiny objects as you see on screen. So, but yeah, you get the idea for that solution right here. But yeah, the easiest way to do this though is the fact that there's also another way you can able to actually get, like, you know, any other shiny objects if you really want to go for those remaining collectibles, or some of those collectibles as you see. I definitely know there are some other locations that you can able to actually just to get even more shiny objects, but I think this is the only one I can still think of, especially noticeable as I mentioned this before, since in the last video of this, that basically this is the only strategy you really definitely want to recommend if you really want to able to get the remaining of those, you know, golden spatulas, including the final reward, if you at least manage to able to spend the high abundancy of those shiny objects. So as a result, you will definitely able to actually recommend you do that. So, but then again though, the best strategy for this is just obviously trying to utilize the bubble missile ability, so that way you would able to have an easier time to able to actually just to, you know, keep on grinding for more of those, you know, shiny objects as you see there. Especially noticeable how the fact that you're gonna have to keep on doing that a lot, by the way. Like for instance that you know, you have to keep on activating the TNT kind of Tiki style. You know, same applies to the forms of the actual, think of like Crash Bandicoot series with the TNT crates and stuff like that, except the fact that, well, if you dare go near into one of those TNT explosive Tikis, then you'll activate the actual explosion, unlike any forms of in Crash Bandicoot games, that you can able to jump onto the actual TNT crates, so that way it will cause a countdown and then it will able to explode afterwards. So, a little bit different, but hey, at least I've already pointed things out right away since the last video, even though it's kind of pointless to say that again. But either way though, that's how it usually goes basically. There are some rare occasions, as you can see on screen, that I'm most able to sometimes destroy a duplication 3000 kind of, well, let's just say a duplication machines. So sometimes I can able to actually get extra amounts of those shiny objects as you see there. So yeah, you probably get the idea for that specific points worth noting for. Now I do apologize with how the fact that there's not much else you can talk about apart from the fact that we're actually getting towards the end of this game right now. Speaking of the actual progressioning actually, is the fact that we actually are 98% done. So naturally speaking, we've only got about 2 more % left, which as a result, it will lead us to 100%, at least if we're trying to take on the forms of the final thing in this game, which appears to be at the chump bucket, as I mentioned this before already. And talking of which actually, is the fact that, I think, fundamentally speaking though, is the fact that, you know, with that particular final point, in terms of how this game offers us to, since then we still got ourselves 98 of those golden spatulas, and as a result we've only got about 2 left until we're able to reach for about 100 of them specifically, which actually matches the exact same percentage as the one it's shown if you manage to able to actually save the screen, or in this case save your game. So, and even then though, until at this point in time, since I'm still managed to play through a remake of this game, which I still do even to this day, even on the PlayStation 4 version and the Nintendo Switch versions that I can play on the go, at least thankfully I don't have to worry about the forms of that particular soft soft lock in during the forms of the actual beginning loading times on my PS2 copy, because I have no idea why I'm having so many issues with that particular point ever since the past few days. Even though originally I was supposed to be able to do this game on the original Xbox, but it only plays out on the Xbox 360 console, but not so much on my original Xbox, which is kind of odd for able to actually play certain things like that, but I have no idea why I'm trying to explain about this right about now. I believe it's especially noticeable how the fact that every once in a while that usually the old school retro Xbox games always attempt to go a little bit more not so much broken, but I don't know, I'm just a little bit too confused for this for the sake of time right there. So either way though, not much else to say, but hey, at least on the upside though is the fact that we're almost there to able to reach for about like 40,000 of those shiny objects. And since if I was so close to able to actually reach that certain amount, well, don't worry for you guys, it's the fact that we will still able to actually get the, well, some couple of more shiny objects along the way, specifically whenever we get to the final boss of the whole game, which we're probably not going to talk about this just yet though, because either way though, that I'm still in the middle of this process, as you can see right there. Plus, I said this before already about the fact that, wow, ever since in the last video, is that this will be the definition of the final time to able to actually just to see Goo Lagoon in action, because, well, since after we're done with a lot more grinding with those little shiny objects as you see there, then I can basically just move on to the final thing, and that's of course deal with the final boss in the game. So I'm quite surprised about the fact that, well, it usually took me about 6 hours of gameplay, which is pretty impressive, despite I have to deal with a semi-blind style, but either way though, the entire game itself, it wasn't ginormously long, unlike Breath of the Wild or anything else for that besides. But still, as a SpongeBob game, it still looks long enough as it is, in which I'm very grateful. Whilst unlike the sequels of the Heavy Iron Studios SpongeBob games, as a matter of fact, like for instance, for example, there is SpongeBob the movie on the console version, that game will probably took about 4 hours of game time, and Truthful Square, on the other hand, gets like 2 hours of gameplay, which I found is a little bit of a letdown. Which, I have to tell you for this point, guys, I'm probably not going to recommend Truthful Square, just because, well, despite this story might be a little bit interesting to say the least, but the actual game's length time is probably the most shortest game in the actual, well, Heavy Iron Studios of trilogies of SpongeBob games, as far as you might as well know. But still, you should probably still recommend this game along with SpongeBob SquarePants movie, the game, so that way you can able to actually have some enjoyable out of it. However, this is the final time I'm going to be doing this process right here, folks, because after all, I've managed to spend on this particular process ever since for almost 14 minutes or so now. So as a result, I think we should probably stop here, and we'll probably go ahead and head back into Bikini Bottom, and hopefully we should able to make our way to the final point of the actual game. Such as, of course, trying to able to stop Plankton's set of robots. In this case, in a Duplication 3000 machine, of course. So, but either way though, I guess we should probably leave Goo Lagoon as it for right now. Even though, originally, I was expecting if I was going to able to do the fastest travel thing by going from one world to another, by able to actually activate the level select screen or mission select screen. But I totally forgot about that, because even then I was originally trying to do it normally, but I didn't even noticing this. But it wasn't until whenever I play a remake of the game, then I'm pretty much able to actually know of understanding what the actual things itself were able to make itself up for it. So either way though, and thank you for able to give me some explosion right there, so thanks a lot. But at least we got enough health points until whenever we reach to the final point of the game. So, but either way though, let's go ahead and before we get into the actual chunk bucket, we'll grab some more shiny objects. And, well, since we actually only got about 113 shiny objects left, until whenever we get onto the certain amount of those shiny objects as you're going to be seeing me collecting continuously, and hopefully we should be able to get enough, well, despite the fact that we've reached a certain amount, but hey, at least we actually get on with that stuff. So anyways, let's get into the final boss of the game.
Look at that guy. With that big square head and those short shorts, that's the most hideous thing I've ever seen!
Wait, that hideous thing looks like me!
I always knew SpongeBob would be the death of me!
Jumpin' jelly beans! A robot SpongeBob!
There's definitely something funny going on here. And I don't mean you. Something else funny. Oh! Plankton! You're behind all this, aren't you?
Yes, it was me all the time! Behold, the Duplicatotron. I registered the name, so don't even think of ripping me off. With this, I can make a robot copy of anyone. I was going to make an army of loyal robots that would obey my every command.
But they're running amok!
I forgot to set the switch to obey Plankton. Ugh. But now that Daddy's home, I can fix that! What's wrong now? It should be working! It is working! They're obeying me! I knew I shouldn't have made a copy of myself, but I'm just so cute. You've interfered with my plans for the last time. SpongeBob meet SpongeBob.
Hi, how do you do? Allow me to introduce my friends, Patrick, Sandy.
Enough! Prepare to meet your doom!
Alright, so here we go folks, this is the final battle in the whole game, and we're about to be faced off against with a ginormous Robo SpongeBob himself. So as a result, along with the Robo Plankton as well. So basically in this entire battle is the fact that we need to use the bubble missile to able to deal the amount of, well, let's just say once again he only has like 9 weak spots, and as a result, in order to able to deal the damage on Robo SpongeBob, is the fact that we need to attack those green lights, and as a result, that way it deals the damage, and vice versa though really. Even though every once in a while though, is the fact that every time when Robo SpongeBob just managed to get stunned, as you can see right there, well, you can't attack him for the 3rd time, because the only thing you can only do at this point in time, that we need to able to, well, just try to able to destroy Robo Plankton first, in order to able to actually continue throughout the battle. So yeah, as a result of that kinds of stuff though, yeah, there's no way you can able to actually go for that stuff. In fact, I have no idea what I'm going to be doing. But apart from those side of things though, it might not be so bad, but until when it gets to the point until on the final point of this entire fight, because yes, I say that because this particular final boss battle does able to contain 2 phases. Like phase number 1 is pretty simple, you're gonna have to able to take down a lot of those weak spots. I think there are about 9 green weak spots in order to able to finish him off. But either way though, once you're able to noticing this already, then you would be able to actually just accomplish that particular task or something. So, but yeah, I tried to able to actually aim for these green weak spots as you say, and none of them work, because you have to deal with Robo Plankton first. And then every time you fell off, then basically you have to able to think of like how it does it in the forms of in well, let's just say in Sonic Adventure 2, in Egg Golem boss fight, where you have to like able to actually reach back up again in order to resume. So that way you would be able to, oh my gosh, what the heck. Anyway though, yeah, taking notice from the Egg Golem boss fight from Sonic Adventure 2, well, depending of which characters you'll be using, either Sonic or Dr. Eggman, that in order to able to actually go back into the arena, you have to grab onto those specific zip lines or something like that to go back up. Whilst in this, you have to simply just hop onto this little spring pad, and that way you should be able to resume the battle. And this is what you are supposed to do for that particular point right there. And basically every time when you get into the next part throughout the battle, you need to dodge a lot of his attacks, like the karate chops, and also same applies to that particular... Well, eventually at this point, whenever he starts to get closer to almost being down, well, until... Whoa, jeez Louise, that was really lucky right there. I somehow got flinged up in the sky or something. Well, somewhat higher above. But anyways, I think he's now got stunned for a while. So now we need to dodge a lot of Roboplankton's missile attacks or some projectile attacks, and then that way we should be able to actually send the bubble missile right at him. The trickiest part about this is the fact that, well, sometimes Roboplankton likes to move around all over the place, which that will be the only hardest part about this fight. But apart from those side of things though, it's actually not too bad when you get the hang of it though. Especially noticeable how the fact that once you've known this game for a very long time, then you were able to actually deal with this no problem. Oh yeah, this is what I mean when it comes to the latest phase, as you can see right there. Now every once in a while is the fact that he now starts to be sending out a lot of those 3 sentences of these words, which actually kind of resembles like karate or something like that. Let's just see how it is. Karate. Yeah, that's a karate right there. Which, kind of think about it, it's more likely some sort of like a reference to the forms of it in Season 1, when SpongeBob managed to able to firstly introduce into karate stuff with Sandy Cheeks, in specifically in Season 1. So, for those of you who really want to know what that episode is all about, let me know in the comments below. So anyways, I think we only got about 2 weak spots left, so hopefully we would be able to finish them off in time. And of course, if you ever get hit by those letters, as you can see right there, obviously as you saw, that you will take a hit, so yes, you have to be very careful. And fundamentally speaking though, is the fact that this is without a doubt one of the hardest fights in the game. Although I understand because it's the grand finale and all, but I will say this particular battle might be pretty easy. But the only hardest part about this particular final boss sometimes is the fact that sometimes Roboplankton likes to move around all over the place. And whenever we move on to the second phase, which it will happen once we finish with this particular final last hit point, then we should be able to actually just, oh, what the heck? Anyway, so let's go ahead and dodge a lot of letters, and hopefully we would be able to just get this the last weak spot done. So, yeah, that's how it goes, basically. Alright, so, okay, so we need to just jump, and, oh boy, he's now using his left hand. Alright, so jump, and, oh, why did I press the wrong button? And in fact, this will able to, he just, how dare you evade me? How dare you evade me? Anyways, let's go ahead and fire this bubble missile thing, and boom.
We were supposed to get married next week.
Did he say married?
I'll repair you, baby.
I'm shrinking!
No, Patrick. I think the robot is getting bigger!
SpongeBob, he just flew into your head!
Well, then I'm going to follow him into my head. I mean, into my robot version's head. Which is like my head, but bigger and more metallic.
Will you go already?
Here I come, Robot Plankton!
This is just getting too weird for me.
Yup, you're right, Squidward. You just always said the weird stuff as to be expected. So, anyways, now let's move on to the second phase of the final boss battle, which, unlike before, that it does manage to take place in the outside arena, this particular battle does manage to take place inside and in the actual robot's body, or we actually get inside the actual robot, so that way we can able to, well, just, you know, kick some robots' butts, including the forms of Roboplankton, as you can see right there. And basically in this entire battle, well, it's nothing to do with the actual fight itself. It's to be more accurate, we need to destroy a lot of sections. Meaning about the fact that I'm pretty sure we need to defeat about, let's just say, 7 sections in the entire body. So as a result, we need to take down, well, every time if you really want to move on to the next point of the battle, well, as you can see, we need to deal the, that we need to deal well with the forms of not only certain robots or enemies, but also every once in a while, we do need to able to actually use the bubble missile all the time, so that way we can able to actually instantly kill Roboplankton. And then when you're done with that, then you are able to actually smash that particular, well, electrical thing, as you can see right there, or one of those parts that you need to destroy. So as a result, as I said before, there are about 7 of those things in order to able to destroy the entire thing, and every once in a while though, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on, well, unlike in any other points throughout, unlike in any other bosses for that matter, they do have some help in order to able to make yourself a little bit safer if you really don't want to go into do or die situations or something. This particular boss fight, not only does it contain no spare underwears in order to able to get your health back, but also there won't be any checkpoints, so every time you mess things up, well, you're gonna have to restart all over again. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So yeah, anyway, let's just go ahead and just bounce all the way up, so that way we can able to destroy another part. So, but if I somehow manage to fail on that part, then I can easily jump cut into that resume part. So I don't feel like trying to show you guys some more grinding for more shiny objects, as you saw right here. Normally I was supposed to be able to use the bubble bowl in order to able to deal with that particular duplication right here for that machinery I destroyed. Well, thankfully you can able to just use the bubble missile for the easiest, so that way you don't have many issues with that. So anyways, let's go ahead and just kick his butt, and hopefully we'll move on to the next part, which, fundamentally speaking, it's actually not too bad, all except for this one major gripe with that. And that is, well, do you remember with the forms of those annoying enemies that we've already come across since downtown Bikini Bottom? Well, the worst offender of this particular final boss, as the actual thing itself, as far as the actual things itself, is this guy, as you can see in the distance. Well, not so much these guys, but that one over there, towards the distance, right near to the duplication machine. Because, seriously, I just really hate these enemies so much. Because they are so unpredictable at times. Especially noticeable, they keep on, like, striking against with you with all these little bubble missiles and stuff like that. And as a result, you're gonna get butt kicked a lot. I mean a lot, for the sake of that stupid enemy right here, as you can see right there. And of course, the only thing you need to worry about is the actual knockback situation. So as a result, yeah, you just have to be very careful around here. Especially, you really can't afford to get hit. Especially noticeable, it really bugs me as such. So, dang it. I'll see you guys there. Okay, another jump cut right there, and we reached for that certain point, as you can see right there. And as I said before, if you somehow die to this particular part, well, you have to deal with no checkpoints. So, as a result, it's going to be a lot of emphasis on, well, for first-time players, they might get a lot of trial and error like this. But when you get the hang of it, though, it might not be so bad. But it's just that particular enemy right there, the one I destroyed. It just so irritates me, especially noticeable when you get to some difficult platforming segments. Oh jeez, that enemy just wasted my time. But I digress. Thankfully, that was the final time we're going to be seeing that enemy, by the way, because thank God, because I don't have to deal with that particular abomination robot ever again. Because seriously, who the heck thought this is a good idea to able to have that enemy to begin with? I understand for different varieties, but it's just so irritating to deal with, to me though anyway. So when you deal with those 4 segments, well, if you think you've done, well, it turns out there's actually just one last thing you have to do. Basically, if you reach for this specific point, as you can see right there, we need to deal out with 3 sections inside, I would say a heart or something, but basically, although before you get into that actually, you must be sure you need to take down Roboplankton for about 3 times in a row before you're able to actually destroy one of those the heart generators or something like that. So, but either way though, although seemingly to say, even though luckily though, if you somehow almost get stuck in position, if you're in the actual bubble missile mode, thankfully though, you can able to actually cancel out by simply able to press the exact same button again. So yeah, you just have to carefully navigate the bubble missile all the way to that particular container stuff, as you can see right there. And once you're done with that segment, then you move on to the next, and vice versa though really. So yeah, as a result, It's not too hard though. Well, the only time I found this part really difficult is that particularly the most annoying enemy in this game, as I said this before countless amount of times, and that was the fact that, you know, with the forms of that really annoying the rocket missile robots, this really likes to wreck me up. But I digress. So anyways, I think we've only got one more weak spot left, and then once we're done with that, then the entire final boss will be completely done and destroyed. And as you saw, that since we already did technically done the first phase, that gives me the first golden spatula, whilst in this particular final boss itself, in phase number 2, it only contains only the final golden spatula, in this case, golden spatula number 100. So that meaning about the fact that once we finish him off, then surely we're able to actually get ourselves the final golden spatula, and let's go ahead and use the bubble missile for the final time, and farewell, Robo SpongeBob.
SpongeBob, you did it!
What'd he do?
What? Oh, yeah. All my plans ruined! That does it. I'm becoming a lawyer. You haven't defeated me yet. I still have lots of robots all over Bikini Bottom. I'll summon them all, and then we'll see. Uh-oh. I'll destroy you. You'll destroy me. I'll destroy you. I'll destroy you twice as hard. Oh yeah? I'll destroy you plus 1. Well, I'll destroy you plus infinity. Shut up, you stupid robot. Who are you calling stupid? I went to community college, you oversized coffee grinder. Oh yeah? I'll show you. Come here and fight like a mono.
Well, Plankton, I hope you learned your lesson.
Oh, I certainly did. Next time I'll get it right.
Ouch! We won! Who wants to get ice cream?
I do. Need I remind you all that there are still robots out there making a mess of Bikini Bottom?
Sandy is right.
Well, I thought she was a squirrel.
I'm being punished. I don't know for what, but I'm being punished.
There's still work to be done out there. Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy wouldn't stop, and neither will I. We can't rest until Bikini Bottom is safe.
So, if you guys are probably thinking, what happens if you're able to obtain all 100 of those golden spatulas? Well, you get yourselves this nice little cutscene.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you.
Aye, aye, Captain!
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
SpongeBob SquarePants!
Absorbent and yellow and porous is he.
SpongeBob SquarePants!
If nautical nonsense be something you wish,
SpongeBob SquarePants!
then drop on the deck and flop like a fish.
SpongeBob SquarePants!
Ready? SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants, SpongeBob SquarePants! Yeah.
That looks like a really cool recreation of that particular SpongeBob intro, except the fact that the rest of the SpongeBob's cast is all here, like Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, Mr. Krabs, and even Squidward, Plankton, Sandy, Mrs. Puff, Patrick Star, and Larry the Lobster, and even Neptune himself, and of course SpongeBob himself as well. And also same applies to that particular familiar fish. So yeah, that seems really cool, and that's actually a pretty cool reward if you managed able to obtain every single golden spatulas in this game. So yeah, after we're done with that though, or after seeing that particular magnificent scene, As you can tell, the stealth credits usually takes place in some sort of like a fun distraction kind of rolling park or something, which basically all you do around here is basically you have to like keep bumping around all over the place, and as a result just get these more shiny objects as you can see here, while the stealth credits is usually decides to show up. Kind of a weird way to able to end a game like that. But either way though, that's just how it goes basically. So let's give my final thoughts of this game before we move on to the final thing in this game. I will still say this about the fact that this was without doubt one of my favorite SpongeBob game I've ever played. This is pretty obvious because if you're a fan of the 3D platformers like I do, especially how important the collectathon is, like specifically just like Super Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, and also same applies to any other 3D platformers out there that it does manage to love to do with collectathons and stuff like that. If you're a big fan of those, then you should be more welcoming to able to actually have this game. I mean, let's get to the positive things out the way first. For a PlayStation 2 game, the graphics do look a bit passable. I mean, surely the most every single characters are 3-dimensional, which is fun enough for a game like this. However, I will say though is the fact that compared to the remake, although to be fair, that the graphics still looks good even to this day, despite playing this on the PlayStation 2 version, whilst compared to the GameCube version does feel a little bit washed out in areas for most character models and stuff like that, and even some blurry textures aside, but apart from those aside of things though, it's actually not too bad. The soundtrack feels magnificently nostalgia for those of you who've ever seen the TV series of SpongeBob SquarePants to begin with, which I do appreciate it for able to have most of those iconic music from the TV show itself, which I always appreciate about that stuff. The gameplay itself, I'm always a big fan of. There are some negative things like, you know, as I mentioned this before, certain enemies can get really nerve-wracking, especially noticeable you always get knockbacks all the time, which I would say the knockback in this game can get pretty much problematic for my part. The story itself is pretty simple stuff really, it's just basically Plankton just trying to able to stall the Krabby Patty formula, kind of the usual plot ever since in the past, and the controls in this game, oh man, it looks so good, and especially noticeable how the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking, it's just, this game is a lot of fun, and I should definitely recommend this game, including for those of you guys who have not able to actually get their hands on the original game yet. Luckily, the remake just recently came out for about, I would say, almost like 2 months ago at this point. So as a result of that kinds of stuff though, you should still recommend this game no matter what. So yeah, definitely recommend the game. So yeah, best to buy this. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about this, but before we're able to actually finish off this Let's Play in general, there are some other things I'd like to show off. Oh, the Chuck enemy. I hate the Chuck enemy, because screw this guy in a huge passion, by the way. So anyway, enough about that. When you try to able to actually entering the police station, as you can see right there, it actually shows you the actual enemies that you've ever encountered in the whole entire adventure. And yes, they do have their names as well as these descriptions, as you can see right there, so you can able to actually understand what the enemies will look like. But if you want to read them, just pause the video if you can, so even then, more power to you. And yes, they're able to actually include Plankton on here, just because he was the only one, he was the actual main villain in the whole entire SpongeBob universe, which is pretty standard stuff as you all know. But there's actually the final thing before this Let's Play will be finished, and that is the forms of that particular building. Well, no, it's not so much for here, but of course you can able to revisit to SpongeBob Arena if you like to. But that particular building over there towards the distance, and you know with that particular theater thing, this is the final thing we'll able to show off for the sake of this Let's Play. And let's go ahead and spend the rest of the shiny objects for the sake of that area.
Hello, sir. May I help you?
One movie ticket, my good man.
Yes, sir.
So again, you have to spend about 40,000 in order to able to 40,000 shiny objects, I should say, in order to able to get into the actual theater mode, which unfortunately there isn't any replays of cutscenes or anything like that, because instead it's more accurately the game's concept arts where originally this game was supposed to have. Like for instance, for example, if we hit into this next page, we see we have an unused boss fight, which is Robo Squidward, which thankfully in a remake it does manage to bring him back. And also there are some unused models like SpongeBob SquarePants in a Mermaid Man costume, which I will say it does look pretty cool, as well as the particular past himself with a prehistoric times and stuff like that, as well as some early concept arts from the early points throughout the whole thing, such as Sandy's house and, well, the tree dome I should say, and also same applies to the Sand Mountains and a battle arena against with Robo Sandy. Sandy's Dream, as you can see right here, looks pretty cool by the way, and Rock Bottom, and also some pretty much unused enemies I'm presuming. So, but even then I haven't really looked upon that much history of this game, or else unlike in any other Mario and Sonic games that I seem to already know most of the previous concept arts in here. But yeah, it's so cool to see some of these unused images compared to the final release of the game that does not make an appearance at all. So here's Robo Patrick here, as well as some familiar... Oh, I really like that poster by the way, it looks pretty amazing and intense. Although, it doesn't usually just match the able to, well, I don't know how do I explain it for this point right about now, just because we're pretty much at the end of this game right now, so even then though, yeah, with that being said though, oh yeah, there's some more pages here, including the forms of, oh yeah, there's Robo Squidward once again, and I'm pretty sure it'll able to actually take us back all the way to Robo Squidward page 1 again. So even then though, there's Jellyfish Fields, looks pretty impressive, as well as downtown Bikini Bottom, and yeah, it actually restarts all the way back to Robo Squidward picture 1. And it does say coming soon right here, which yeah, that seems pretty interesting. So even then though, pretty cool reward if you manage to able to spend a whole bunch of those shiny objects, but either way though, that's as far as I can usually think about it. So yeah, with that being said folks, I hope you guys do enjoy this Let's Play of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, so I do appreciate it if I'm able to actually finally obtain the game, as well as able to do a Let's Play for you guys. So this is me, Sonic the Hedgehog, and I suppose we'll probably do SpongeBob SquarePants movie, video game version, specifically the console version first until next year, but we'll see what happens until in 2021. So this, yeah, see you guys then. Bye.